Here's a scene that haunts me. Somebody installs gorgeous hickory cabinets, that wild grain running from pale honey to deep chocolate in a single door. Real character, real wood, the good stuff. And then they paint the walls the same beige the builder used in every hallway of the development. Suddenly, the kitchen looks like a dentist's waiting room from 1997. The cabinets go orange, the whole room goes flat. There's a specific kind of panic that hits at that moment. Standing there with a roller in hand, wondering if the wood was the mistake. It wasn't. The wall was. And in the next few minutes, 7 colors that fix this completely with hex codes, so nothing gets left to guesswork. First, a myth worth burning. Somewhere along the way, the internet decided hickory was dated, a relic of the early 2000s. Best painted over immediately. That is nonsense, and honestly a little offensive to a tree that has been quietly outperforming oak in hardness for centuries. Hickory was never the problem. What dated those kitchens was the surrounding cast, the speckled granite, the Tuscan gold walls, the cherry-stained trim, all shouting at once. Hickory is genuinely having a renaissance right now because the design world swung hard toward warmth and texture and lived in luxury. The wood was always beautiful. It just needed a quieter room to stand in. Here's the one technical thing to hold on to. Hickory is high contrast and high variation, which designers call visual busyness. The grain does a lot of talking, so the wall's job is not to compete. The wall's job is to be the calm, well-dressed friend who lets the loud one tell the story. Start with the safest home run in the entire lineup. This is a soft white with a whisper of yellow underneath it, the color of good butter left out on the counter. Sherwin-Williams calls its version alabaster, and there's a reason it shows up in roughly every renovation on television. Why it works is simple. A cold blue leaning white sitting next to hickory makes the wood scream orange because opposites amplify each other. A warm white agrees with the wood instead of arguing with it. The pale streaks in the hickory suddenly read as intentional, almost like the cabinets and walls were cut from the same idea. Walk through this room at 8 in the morning, and the walls look nearly ivory, quiet, and clean. Come back at golden hour, and they glow, catching that low light and going almost apricot for 20 minutes. Layer in unlacquered brass hardware that will patina over the years, a linen Roman shade, maybe a lime wash finish if feeling brave, and the whole thing looks less like a kitchen and more like a farmhouse someone's grandmother left behind in the best possible way. For anyone who finds white a bit too precious with 3 kids and a dog, Greige is the answer. This is beige that went to art school. It carries enough gray to feel modern and enough warmth to keep from turning cold and clinical. The magic here is grounding. Hickory has energy, all those tonal jumps between light and dark, and a mid-tone greige absorbs some of that visual noise so the eye can rest. The room reads as calm rather than chaotic. One warning worth taking seriously. Greige is a chameleon, and it will shift depending on the light coming through the windows. In a north-facing kitchen with cool light, it can slide gray and slightly sad. In a south-facing kitchen, it warms right up and glows. Sample it on the actual wall, live with it for 2 full days, and watch how it behaves at night under the lights that are actually installed. Now for the one that makes people gasp in the reveal. Muted sage, dusty and gray leaning, almost the color of dried eucalyptus. Green and wood is not a trend, it's a rule of nature. Every forest on earth is running this palette. That's the core of biophilic design, which sounds academic, but really just means the brain relaxes around combinations it recognizes from the natural world. Trunk and leaf, hickory and sage. Nobody has to explain it because everyone already feels it. This pairing is stunning in a kitchen with any kind of tile moment. Zeliga tile in a soft white behind the range with its imperfect handmade wobble catching light unevenly, sitting between sage walls and hickory doors, is the sort of thing that gets saved to 1,000 mood boards. Add aged brass and a stone counter with visible movement. Done. Same family, entirely different mood. This is sage after dark, a deep and slightly gray forest tone that swallows light rather than reflecting it. Going dark with hickory feels risky, and that's exactly why it lands so hard. Against a deep green wall, the pale streaks in the hickory stop being background noise and start glowing like they're lit from inside. The contrast does the work. The wood looks expensive, almost like a piece of furniture rather than cabinetry. This one wants a dining room, a butler's pantry, an island wall, somewhere with a bit of drama in the job description. Think of the moody library energy in an old wood paneled study, that knives out kind of richness where every surface looks like it has a history. Pair it with warm bulbs, never anything above 3000 Kelvin, or the whole thing turns swampy fast. Here's where things get interesting. Blue is technically the opposite of everything hickory is doing, which is precisely the point. Straight saturated blue would fight the wood and lose. But a smoky, dusty blue with plenty of gray mixed in acts like a cooling counterweight. It calms down the orange in the hickory instantly, better than almost anything else on this list. Warm wood plus cool wall is one of the oldest balancing acts in the book, and it never stops working. Morning light does something lovely here, pulling the blue toward soft denim. By evening, it deepens into something closer to slate. Bring in matte black or bronze fixtures rather than chrome, because shiny silver next to this combination tips the room toward corporate. A jute rug underfoot keeps the texture story going. For the rule breakers, clay is a muted, dusty terracotta, sun-baked rather than bright, more adobe wall than flower pot. Conventional wisdom says never put orange next to orange. Conventional wisdom is occasionally a coward. When the tones are close enough, the effect stops being a clash and becomes a tonal palette. Layers of the same warmth stacked at different depths. The whole room goes enveloping and soft like being inside a sunset. This one belongs in smaller spaces, a powder room with hickory vanity, a breakfast nook, a laundry room nobody expects to be beautiful. Plaster or lime wash finish takes it from good to unforgettable because the surface variation echoes the grain variation in the wood. Finally, the power move. Not black, never true black, but a soft charcoal with a hint of warmth so it reads as shadow rather than void. Against charcoal, hickory looks like it belongs in a gallery. Every tonal shift in the grain becomes visible because there's nothing else in the room asking for attention. This is high contrast done with restraint, and it makes even modest cabinetry look custom. The trick is limiting it. One wall or the lower half of a room beneath a picture rail or a single dramatic pantry interior. Charcoal on all four walls in a kitchen with limited natural light will feel less like a design choice and more like a decision made during a difficult week. Here's the thing worth remembering long after the paint dries. Wood is not a color, it's a character. Hickory arrived with opinions already formed, all that grain and movement and personality, and the wall behind it was never meant to compete for the spotlight. Great rooms aren't built from matching, they're built from relationships, one element leading, another supporting, both better for the arrangement. So pick the tone that makes the wood look like the best decision in the room. Sample it properly, watch it at morning and at dusk, and trust the pairing that makes the space feel like somewhere worth lingering. That feeling is the whole goal. Everything else is just paint.